Hey guys, today I thought I'd put together a video basically on the lender turnaround times. This shouldn't be a new issue to anyone here. This has been quite an issue for quite a long time. It's an issue not just to agents but all stakeholders involved in the purchasing process. So vendors, purchasers, brokers, conveyancers, everyone involved. What I do today is just take you on a bit of a run through why this has happened, and it's happened over a long period of time. So I just thought understanding the story will allow a bit of context to the situations and hopefully allow us to provide better expectations to our customers, or I should say more reasonable expectations to our clients, so that when these sorts of things arise, at least they were expected and it's not a massive shock, because that's when the negative experiences start kicking in, which doesn't help anyone. So I'm going to take you back to the GFC. So obviously what happened with the GFC was there was a lot of suspect lending practices, let's just say that much. And in 2007, the government basically rushed massive lending regulations in. What a lot of people didn't understand about this is APRA is there basically to enforce lending standards on the lenders. That's one of the things they do. But because of the politics involved, they brought in the responsible lending laws, so otherwise known as the NCCP Act, if you really want to do your homework. So that's an important thing in this story to understand, because APRA can just quickly change the standards, whereas when you're putting laws in place, it goes through Parliament. And obviously that's a long, arduous process. So now we fast forward to 2020. So out of the blue, we have a pandemic, and that really messes with everyone. One of the things, one of the levers that governments can pull in pandemics, and I should say recessions, the pandemic kind of triggered the recession. One of the levers that government can pull in a recession is they can make money easy to get. That kind of helps everyone. So what we've seen is a lot of stimulus, which is what needs to happen, but they also need to make money easy to get via borrowing. So the government have tried to do this. What they did was they introduced $40 billion worth of guaranteed loans, so guaranteed by the federal government for small business. So the deal is, obviously, if you can get money into the hands of small businesses, they can then go keep their businesses afloat and keep the economy ticking along. The problem with this is that none of the banks wanted to lend the money to small businesses, because the responsible lending laws basically says that you need to prove that the borrower can repay the money. Well, if people need the money for a recession because there's a pandemic, well, there's probably a shortage of income there. So as of now, which is May 2021, this was obviously last year, 2020, March 2020, I think the government guaranteed loans got announced that at up to 40 billion. So far, there's only been about 2 billion lent out. So that's the reason why. So I'm just trying to set the scene here, because you're probably wondering what small business loans has to do with longer turnaround times. As of October last year, October 2020, everyone had come to the understanding that we've made a major mistake here, because we changed the laws back in 2020. Now we have to change the laws back to allow money to get into the hands of the people that need it, namely the small businesses. So basically they've said, well, they have to repeal some of those things within the responsible lending laws. Now, what banks have done, you could argue they've done quite smartly, is basically say, oh yeah, all of the red tape is holding things back. And that does have a degree of truth to it. Unfortunately, what you've seen is since that time in October 2020, the turnaround times have blown out. My theory is part of this is they've blown out on purpose, and that's to rewind these responsible lending laws. So eventually they'll be able to, they'll be able to lend out a lot more money and make that profit back in future years. So where does that leave us? At the moment, the repealing of that responsible lending laws was supposed to start March 2021 this year, but we're now at the end of May and we're still kind of dealing with the prospect of that going through Parliament. So that's pretty normal. Things kind of get delayed and they're pushed behind. So what we kind of need to understand is the turnaround time issue is not going to improve anytime soon. I think we're closer to the end of it than to the start, just because of the kind of the rhetoric and the attitude lenders are starting to show. They're actually acknowledging that they're buggering up big time, and it's actually stressing, purchasers out, their customers out big time, and there is a large emotional toll. And at a time when there's a pandemic still kind of going around the world, that's not really a good thing. It's not really a conscionable thing. So I get the feeling that things are going to turn around sometime in the future, but I wouldn't take it for granted that it's going to happen next week or tomorrow or anything like that. So basically, no change in the immediate future. So that leaves us with what can we do, and the only thing we really can do is communicate better to our clients, which is kind of an age-old thing we can always do better. So unfortunately I can't give you much because most agents have already kind of worked on this. I think where agents can improve better is actually just communicating with the lender, so either the mortgage broker or the bank officer that's doing the loan. I myself personally go out of the way to contact the agent just to let them know about the finance process and timelines and that sort of stuff, any hurdles that may be that I may foresee happening along the way. But sometimes finance people aren't that forward in communicating, so I think maybe if we could help our clients, or if agents could help their vendors, maybe they could get on the front foot and communicate with the lending officer first, or the broker, especially if there's a finance clause involved. If it's unconditional, it's unconditional. But yeah, obviously if there's a finance clause involved, the buyer can back out, and that doesn't help anyone in that situation. And the more communication, the better. If you can go back to your vendor and provide more information, then that's definitely better for the process. Not much else I can give to you on that. Hopefully understanding the story of kind of what's happening and why the banks are taking so long can help you explain things to your clients. Cheers.